So when I do interims, I travel around a lot, and one of the things I do is I always have an extra bag of clothes with me. You never know what can happen when you're driving, and it's not like I can get a change of pants real quick like if I have a meeting coming up and I'm here. It's an hour and a half away north in the state of Michigan, okay? Just in case you were wondering where that is. And so, I have these little clothing articles in there that I can change into, some toiletry items, all that kind of stuff that I might need. We all kind of pack some things up in our luggage, in our baggage. The problem is it can be a little difficult to determine, especially what you need, where you're going. It gets even more complicated when you're flying, because many of us will someday hopefully be able to do that, because they now charge you for, it seems like, every bag you carry with you. When you check a suitcase at a terminal, you should always take a carry-on, by the way, if you didn't know that, because just on occasion, guess what might happen if you're changing planes with your luggage? It has been known for airlines to lose your baggage. And if you don't have a carry-on with some change of clothes in it, you're either buying a whole new wardrobe or you're wearing the same outfit for a couple days, washing it out in the sink. Not that I've ever done that before. Well, maybe once. I often wonder, after I pick up my luggage, have you ever noticed on those carols where it's going around, there seems to be that one bag that just keeps going around and around and around, and you're wondering, wow, who's without their clothes this time? Huh? But all those things aside, and all joking aside, there is always a problem with the baggage that we carry. We literally have baggage we carry on and fret over while flying, but we also have, in a metaphorical way, the baggage of sin, burden, and brokenness as we crisscross through life, neglecting the Christ cross that looms before us as we come closer to the end of Lent. Both the literal bags and the figurative baggage are with us largely through our own packing, our own choosing. Both can be heavy and burdensome. And weigh us down in such a way that it threatens the way we walk, the way we live, the way we move. I don't know about you, but I've carried a lot of weird luggage with me and a lot of extra weight on my journey. Things that taste and smell like shame, things that taste and smell like anger, things that taste and smell like fish. And those bags that we carry around, we sort of get used to the weight of them. We sort of begin to think they're normal for us to carry with us. This weight pulls us backwards, or if we go forward too much, we fall on our face. But that's not how it's meant to be. Listen to this in Psalm 51, and I use the Message translation. Generous in love, God give grace. Huge in mercy, wipe out my bad record. Scrub away my guilt. Soak out my sins in your laundry. I know how bad I've been. My sins are staring me down. So you may already remember that story about David, who is accredited with that psalm. David used his position, his privilege, as the king. Remember that? The story's out there that he's in his palace and he's able to look down across all of Jerusalem at that time because he was the high ground. And he sees a woman bathing. And he desires her. Now, usually the story goes that Bathsheba was a seductress. But the fact is that David took his privilege and his position and the weight of his monarchy. And what choice did Bathsheba have when the king of Israel sent his soldiers to her? In addition to that, not only will he commit adultery, not only has he looked on someone's nakedness, forbidden by Jewish law, he takes and sends her husband, a devout, religious, loyal soldier to the monarchy, sends him in the front line, has him charge the hill, and then at the last minute tells his commanders, pull back. And there stands Uriah, alone and in the open, certain death. And then Nathanael the prophet says, David, you messed up. And David, weighted down with the burden of sin, the burden of his guilt, and the burden of his shame, writes Psalm 51. And trusts that God alone can take the weight of his sin, the burden and the wrongness that he's done, and somehow transform it. And make a difference. All of us during the season of Lent, in all our lives, by the way, as Christians, we are invited to open up our bags so we can empty them of all that would destroy our lives and our relationships. We are invited to leave some of the bags filled with our messed up and sin-stained garments behind to be picked up and put where they belong by Jesus. We're invited to take whatever messed up stuff we've been carrying and leave it unclaimed, unmarked, and ready to be taken by God. You see, some luggage is just longing to be lost. Some bags are just begging to be left behind. Some articles need to come out of our bags, and Jesus alone knows how to wash and clean the bag of dirty laundry we carry with us, made up of our past sins and our abuses. Jesus will take every sin-stained garment that you have pulled out of your bags and properly and eternally destroy it or clean them as they are needed. But there's also that baggage that shaped us into victims, and we carry them around with us as our arms ache and our shoulders begin to hurt. And yes, it starts to hurt after a while. God offers us a place to ditch such things in the storehouse of God's mercy and grace, where they can be brought to be destroyed or put to rest. Jesus Christ will give his own life in exchange for every single piece of baggage that has been breaking our back or seeking to destroy our lives and our relationships with God, with one another, and with this world. Now you might think, yeah, but you don't know what the kind of stuff I've done. Well, there is nothing that God can't take care of. Because Jesus is far more powerful and stronger than any of us can imagine. And please never underestimate the power of God's grace and mercy. The room in which our sin-stained garments and deathly luggage can be placed is infinite in size. You see, I believe David must have known this about God. He really messed up. And so he says, Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. David seems to have no doubts that regardless of the depth of his own depravity, God has unrelenting love. God is willing and able to do something about our baggage. So what do you need to get rid of? What kind of baggage do you need to give to God? Because I'm going to tell you, this shapes us. So in 1972, Montgomery, Alabama, I went up against a heavyweight that outweighed me 100 pounds. I drove into that guy with all my might. And as I drove into him, I drove with my left knee pushed into his body, and I felt his weight jam down on me. And at that very moment, everything went click in my knee. I never had it looked at. Never went to the doctor, because that's not what my father did. You toughed it out. So for years, I walked with this knee. Eventually had to have surgery on it, but still, in pain, I walked and walked. For 4 decades, I walked with a limp. To this day, my hip and my other knee has suffered because I kept walking on a bad knee. Until at last the pain became so great and so intense that finally the doctor said, it's time to replace it. By the way, it's now time to replace this one too. When we carry luggage around with us, weight that threatens to pull us down, it impacts us all across the board, my brothers and my sisters. It not only weights down our personal lives, it can destroy and weight down a community of faith. It can pull you under and cause you to limp around. And yet this God is constantly saying, I wish to give you grace. I wish to show you mercy. I wish you to put down what's crushing you, to let go of it and let me take it so that you can live and walk upright. I've listened to about 15 of you. Just listened. Taking no sides, no position. And I can tell you, you hurt. There's some of you who are just bedazzled and befuddled. There's others of you who are just plain angry. And there's others of you who have been cut deeply. And I don't know if you want to walk around like that. I don't know if you want to be satisfied with that. I hope not. In April, there's going to be an opportunity beginning, probably won't happen until May, where you're going to be invited to come and talk to some very gifted individuals. Just talk to them in a setting that is safe, in a setting that is individualized, in any way that is possible for you to come and just talk, to let go of some of the things you want. This is an invitation only. There is no demand on anybody. You don't want to do it, don't do it. But somewhere along the line, you need to talk. Somewhere along the line, you need to search your lives out. Somewhere along the line, you need to let go of some things and begin new. And here is an opportunity to start. We all have stuff we carry around. None of us can get out of this life without getting hurt or wounded or cut or broken. And yet here we have a God so immense and so merciful and so powerful that he wishes to heal every last one of us. But the choice is always yours. The gift that God gives you is unbelievable.